This is your host Swapnil Bharti and welcome to TFR Newsroom. Today we have with us once again Shaun, Field CTO at Mirantis. Shaun, it's great to have you back on the show.
Great to be back. Good to see you again.
Yeah, and today we're going to talk about Mirantis Cloud Native Data Centers. What exactly are you announcing today?
So we're announcing our Cloud Native Data Center offering, which is a vendor-agnostic, centrally operated service that covers virtualization and containerization inside the data center, based on our Mirantis Container Cloud products.
Why are you announcing this data center as a service? What unique challenge that you're seeing these days that you wanted to address this with this announcement?
As you know, Mirantis has spent a long time working within customer data centers over many, many years with our virtualization products and with our Kubernetes products and Swarm products. What we're seeing is a lot of customers are struggling with that journey from moving from on-premise data center into the public cloud, and they're spending a lot of money on traditional or old school virtualization technologies. What we're seeing and what we're focusing on is helping those customers make the transition to save money within that data center virtualization, learn those and to deal with those challenges of going cloud native and containerizing your applications. But at the same time, using our product suites like Container Cloud to make it easier for them to make that transition from on-prem into the cloud and then to support multi-cloud and hybrid cloud deployments.
So this is more or less lives on their own on-prem cloud, private cloud, if I'm not wrong.
Correct. The core offering that we're offering here, that a part of this offering is we will deliver our Container Cloud product as the core management component into your data center. It's not bound to your data center, but that's where we'll start. We can then offer virtualization services and containerization services on demand in the data center and leverage your public cloud and other private clouds you may already have to deliver Kubernetes services.
Yeah, I want to understand, the relationship or chemistry or flow from public cloud to private cloud. But before I go there, I also want to understand what are the core components of this offering.
So the core component is Mirantis Container Cloud itself, which is our lifecycle management, provides for that self-service experience so that developers and operators can go in and get clusters on demand very easily and very quickly. On top of that, we're offering Mirantis Kubernetes Engine, which is our complete Kubernetes platform. So that includes the ingress, networking from a Calico perspective, plus all the lifecycle and identity management components. We're including Mirantis OpenStack to cover virtualization. And as you know, we brought Mirantis OpenStack on top of Kubernetes as a workload on top of Kubernetes. We're including Mirantis Secure Registry for image management and security. So that's what the complete bundle looks like today. Wrapped with that, and I think the most valuable component of the solution we're offering is our Mirantis OpsCare. Mirantis OpsCare is our answer to operating those environments for you. We offer that in two flavors. You can either operate yourself and we'll monitor for you, or hand over the full operation for that stack to us, and we'll monitor it 24/7 and operate it 24/7 for you on your behalf. Another really cool capability that we're adding in as part of the offering is Lens Spaces, which will allow our customers to get support on Kubernetes clusters and allow us access to those clusters for a limited period of time, only when and if they need it. Otherwise, we have no access into those environments. So a phone home capability.
So if I look at the breadth of Mirantis services offering products, you are offering, it goes all the way back to OpenStack to the latest offerings there. At some point, you also may be doing something with Zero Kits as well there.
It's coming. A lot of great stuff happening in the roadmap with K0s. Some very interesting things coming down the line as well with Lens and how we're bringing all those together. We've got a great product line coming out and a great plan for the next year. And then wrapping it around in service offerings like this for the customers where they get a complete solution at a very favorable price, where we can help them save money in the data center and then ease that journey into the cloud is very important to us.
I am also curious about this announcement now because most of the time we hear about cloud, we hear about no code, low code, just as much as you can take away from developers' pipeline. But at the same time, the reality is that even when you talk about serverless, there is a server in the serverless. We hear a lot about bare metal these days. We talk a lot with companies like Equinix these days a lot. So I want to understand from your perspective the importance of data center in today's kind of cloud-centric world, and why are you doing this at this point?
That's an awesome question. We're taking the theory that the data center, as we know it today, which is a physical building where you're storing servers, is going to change. The definition of the data center is changing. Part of that core belief is nobody needs to or wants to worry about infrastructure anymore. We still need it, still has to be there, but developers don't want to care about where it is and how to consume it. So we're saying if we can make access to the data center, and the data center no longer has to have a physical boundary. Now, all of a sudden, you can change the idea of where data and your systems are running. The data center becomes much more virtualized, but still with the same level of control, access rules, everything that you would have had in the data center, but we can extend that into the public cloud. More importantly, we're saying you don't just have to go to one public cloud provider and get bound in there. What we're saying is that data center can be extended to any public cloud provider, and all of them, should you wish to. So that's a very core part of the way we look at the data center of the future. And that also, you mentioned the work we're doing with Equinix Metal. That's the same idea. Let's extend bare metal that we can support in the data center into bare metal on demand wherever you need it, because that has certain capabilities, whilst being able to leverage what the public clouds offer in their services and enable more access and greater scope for our customers.
There was a point where the definition of data center was very well defined. Then came Edge, and we started defining what is Edge, what is cloud. Now, once again, we have started asking, how would you define data center? Because of Edge, we talk about Edge data center, and Mirantis, is doing a lot of work in that space as well. And Edge is more about hardware because you have these small devices at the far edge where developers, they have to worry also about managing those because nobody is managing them. So can you also talk about how do you define that Edge data center or data center? And how would you enable these customers who might move a lot of their workloads near users?
That's a great one. And it comes back to that same discussion I was having around the different parts of the data center. Ultimately, Edge is just an extension of the data center. Yes, it has special needs. Yes, quite often we're going to be using low-powered hardware, or it's going to be very remote, but on slower links. But ultimately, what Container Cloud is bringing to the party, what we're doing with a combination of K0s, which we mentioned earlier, K0s is going to enable us to have very, very lightweight deployments right down on the edge, ARM-based hardware if necessary, or other CPU hardware, all orchestrated and managed from this central point with Container Cloud. Container Cloud provides us that core central database of resources that a developer can then query, get a list of resources and where they live. And when I say resources, I'm talking compute, storage, whatever's accessible through Container Cloud. And then either request a new Kubernetes cluster on those environments if one doesn't exist, or just consume what is there. But they will have a list that they can see and see what the availability is. All of that, again, centrally monitored and managed with a consistent environment. So I build something on my desktop environment for testing purposes. I test that in the instance running in the cloud. When I push that down to the edge, it's the same environment with the same security rules, the same setup as anywhere else. So I know my workloads are going to work, which drives a portability capability as well.
Cloud native world, or even if you look at data center space these days or multi-cloud, it is becoming kind of very, very crowded space. If you look at this offering, I know you can be diplomatic or you can be totally blunt. Who are you competing against? Who are your direct competitors? And what kind of, extra edge, no pun intended, are you bringing it there?
So our direct competitors are, for the on-premise companies, obviously Red Hat and VMware in that space. There are smaller players, but those are the big guys that we're going up against. Our edge is that we're offering a very simple to understand solution. We offer everything in one go. The single starting point of Container Cloud, which is put down the Container Cloud cluster and everything expands out from there, added to our managed services offering. So the fact we bundle that full managed service and we take away the entire responsibility and ownership of that infrastructure layer down, essentially, it's an overused term, but give developers their Kubernetes dial tone, and all they have to do is worry about applications. It's the same for the operators. The operators, we're going to take a lot of that pain, a lot of that stress away, and that's a big advantage.
And if I ask you that, who are you targeting with this offering?
We're targeting right now, at least initially, large customers who already have virtualization solutions in their data centers, so the VMwares, the Red Hats of the world, customers who are on that journey to cloud native, who are either right at the beginning of it or have started and are stalling, because we can bring in our services arm to help with that migration process. A lot of experience with that. Customers who have tight resources but need to make the cloud journey, we can help them by freeing up those resources, allow them to focus on the applications, and we'll take on the responsibility for the infrastructure.
One challenge that I see, and I may be totally wrong, is that when we do talk about data centers, we also look at a lot of legacy application or workload that has been there for around. How are you going to help them, modernize or containerize that kind of workload?
We've got two approaches that we're taking for that, and they're tried and tested approaches for us, and we've been doing this for years. The first one for that legacy, if we talk about especially virtualized legacy environments, we can migrate from most of the other virtualization systems into our platform. That's a first step along the journey. Let's get everything contained, let's understand where it is. Our platform has been designed to be able to be more resilient, to cater for those types of workloads. The second step is we've got a very strong consultative process that we can also bring in a service team, it's a DevOps team, platform as a service team, that can come in and work with you and guide the process of either just us doing it, we'll take those virtualized applications where possible and move them into containers, or guiding and training and educating and doing the change management within the organization to help you learn how to containerize and then accelerating that process. We've done that very successfully for some fairly large customers across the world, and we're continuing to do that right now in all industries.
One last question is that we talk about technology a lot, we talk about products as well, but if I ask you, what is the direct, impact on a developers or operators or, customers' life through this? Can you talk about that?
So from a developer's point of view, developers no longer have to care whether they're on Amazon or on Azure or on-prem. They have the same experience. They want a cluster, they click a button, they get a working cluster straight away. So their life is simplified, standardized, with a single point of access to that infrastructure. But still with the freedom to choose what they use and how they deploy onto that environment. We're not going to dictate that. From an operator's point of view, they're getting a single pane of glass into this potential sprawl. We're taking on the responsibility of things like upgrades, patching, data management of their underlying systems, so that the operators can focus on working with their developers to move forward. And once again, large-scale virtualization or containerization environments are complex. So we're taking on all the open source components of that, which is very important. Everything we're doing is open source, but we're taking on all that open source management, which can take up a lot of time and pain for an operator. So we're taking on all that responsibility, and then we can continuously update and upgrade those environments, giving you the access to the latest open source technologies.
Shaun, thank you so much for taking time out today and talk about this new offering, and also kind of explain the challenges and also kind of define data center again and again and again. It's like fashion, it keeps coming back in the different format.
Everything goes in circles, yes.
Exactly. So thanks for the discussion. And as usual, I would love to have you back on the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much.